అందరికీ నమస్కారం. వెల్కమ్ బ్యాక్ టు వంశీ భవాని. ఇవాల్టి ఈ వీడియోలో మన ఎస్క్యూఎల్ సిరీస్లో ఆబ్వియస్లీ బోల్డ్ అంత కంటెంట్ నేర్చుకుంటున్నాము. బట్ యాక్చువల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూలో ఏ విధంగా మాట్లాడితే బాగుంటుంది అని చెప్పి మీకు కూడా ఒక ఐడియా ఉంటే బాగుంటుంది కదా. అందుకని ఈ మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూని అరేంజ్ చేశాము. అండ్ ఇవాళ మనతో వీ హ్యావ్ షాలు గారు. సో షీ హ్యాడ్ యాక్చువల్లీ పాస్డ్ అవుట్ ఫ్రమ్ ఒడిన్ స్కూల్ ఇన్ ద డేటా సైన్స్ కోర్స్. 2020లో పాస్ అయినప్పటికీ గ్యాప్ ఉన్నప్పటికీ కోపప్ చేసుకుని టుడే షీ ఈజ్ అ జూనియర్ డేటా ఇంజనీర్ at Forseer, and like currently she's working on both engineering part of it, full stack, and data side also. So ivala ee mock interview we'll have with Shalu garu. First of all, thank you Andy, thanks for accepting the invite.
Yes. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So we'll start with the mock interview. We'll keep the flow similar to how the interview looks like. We'll start with like tell me about yourself question, and then we'll start with few basic questions, go till a point where it's required for fresher, and finally end with a note on you have questions for interviewer and things like that. So yeah, firstly, like, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Shalu Chauhan, and I am a graduate in English literature from Miranda House, Delhi University. After finishing my master's in 2020, I worked as a content writer in Paperpedia. So for 2 to 3 years, I worked there, and also prepared. I was a UPSC aspirant, so prepared from the government jobs also. Then, as you know, like UPSC takes, it is about risking and challenging. It's a challenging thing. So the luck didn't favor me there, but I was determined enough to get a field which offers the same kind of challenges and same learning and growth opportunity. So I joined OdinSchool, and after my 6 months of hard work and like good mentors there, I could polish my technical skills along with my soft skills, and then I appeared for various interviews.
So let's start with like, when do you use where clause versus having clause versus group by clause? Can you explain with the situations on like what exactly is the clause used?
Sure. So like where clause is basically the keyword for filtering the data. So it is like the main thing is like if you want to put a condition as to what kind of a data you want. So where is put there, and the same with the having clause. But the difference in using is like when you use where, when you are not aggregating the data. So it's a simple filter where your data is not getting aggregated based on either sum or like that. So if you just, for an example, if we have, data for customers in various regions, right? So if you just want to find like which customer is, if you want to just take out people from India, so you use a simple where clause where the country ID is, where the country is India. However, when you want to get an aggregated value along with it, so if you group by the country, and for instance, the sum paid in India, then you use the sum paid for all the customers. So where say select customer name, customer country, and then the amount paid. So you will always use a sum amount paid, right? But here you cannot use a where clause for filtering out customer from India. You need to use a having clause. So the use case is based on an aggregate condition. So if you use where to filter when there is no aggregate, and you use having to filter when there is an aggregated data.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
That's a basic difference. And again, group by is like when you want to do the aggregation. So in typical cases, what we have is like we have the transactional data. So it is like day by day. However, it is not good for analyzing. When you every day you can't just have the data. You need an aggregated sum, a summary, if you can say. So there you use the group by. So like you can again the same situation. You can take the amount paid by a customer, group by the customer, group by the gender. So it basically allows you to analyze the data better.
Sounds good.
With the group by clause.
Sounds good. What is the primary difference between primary key and foreign key?
Okay, so primary key and foreign key are like the basic pillars of how RDBMS is, as a concept is built. So the relational database management system. So this is like, where the SQL comes in. It helps us to communicate with the RDBMS system. So RDBMS is basically where you structure the data in such a way that it reduces the redundancy, like you're not repeating the data again and again. So this is a core, like you put in separate tables just to make the data, you just to link the data and keep those data integrate also. So that if there is just one table, if you delete something from that table, probably you are going to delete some sort of important data which you may need in future, right? So primary key and foreign key are the two concepts which help implement that. So primary key is the unique identifier in any table. For instance, in a customer table, you will have a customer ID. So like the primary criteria for that is you cannot have a duplicate, you cannot have a null value, and that is like an ordered kind of a series. So like that is what provides the uniqueness to the primary key. And foreign key is basically when another table is linked, the primary key of that table is put into the say the fact table. So that becomes a foreign key in a different table. So that is a primary difference between those two. So it helps, for instance, in a customer table, a country ID can be a foreign key, right? But a country ID will be a primary key in the country table. So that is the primary difference between the two. And then it helps link those two tables while keeping the country data intact. So if the country data is entirely in this customer table also, and if you delete some, customer ID who belongs, say, in India, so the entire row which references India will be deleted. Maybe the city where the India, like a city in India will be deleted, some sort of data. So that identifier, if you put India as a foreign key, like a foreign key referencing India's data, so that will ensure that, first of all, you are reducing the number of times you are writing that data, like India, then Delhi, then, there'll be multiple times. So you can just reference one primary key, which is you can write a primary key, which is referencing to the table called country.
Correct. Do we have multiple primary keys or multiple foreign keys? If yes or if no, explain logically why does that make sense?
So multiple primary keys cannot be there because primary key, the concept is unique identification. If again, the primary requirement is it cannot be duplicate. And it has to be just one singular column for one table. But we can have multiple foreign keys. For instance, I made this reference, like you have a country ID as a foreign key. You can have a city ID as well as a foreign key. So multiple columns can be referring to different tables, so they become foreign key in one single table. And also, like they can be a composite foreign key. So, for instance, you can keep a composite primary key can be there. Like multiple primary key can't be there, but a composite, like two columns, which you think can be unique identifiers. Sometimes what happens is one column is not enough. Right? A combination of columns make that row unique. So then that is called a composite primary key. So like we actually use this a lot while modeling the data. So you want to find a unique identifier in every table so that you can link that to the other table. So there, we use a lot of we make composite primary keys to help link the tables.
Right. So with foreign key, we are trying to reference one table with the other one. Can we do that with multiple tables, like referencing two tables into one table? Is that possible with the foreign key?
Referencing two tables into one table.
So
yes, that's what I said. No, you can reference. You can reference a country table with a foreign key, right? And no, that cannot be like one foreign key cannot reference multiple tables because that is a primary key in another table, right?
No, I'm mentioning, let's say we have a cities table, we have a countries table, and we have a students table. Can we reference both cities and countries table into the students table?
Yes, that can be done. However, that would sort of defy the concept of this what do we call the snowflake structure, or the that kind of a modeling that we do, because logically cities comes under country, that is what the hierarchy is. Or a state or a country, whatever. So referencing city directly to the student table will not make that logical sense. Like it will become redundant again because you're referring, because always a city is referred to in a country. So
Correct.
a city ideally should be be a foreign key in a country table, and then that country should be a foreign key in the student's table. So that is how the snowflake schema or the star schema works.
Correct.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that can be done, but indirectly. Yeah.
అబ్సల్యూట్లీ. సో గైస్ ఇక్కడ మీకు ఒక చిన్న నోట్ ఏంటి అంటే, సో చాలా సార్లు క్వశ్చన్స్లో మీకు థియరిటికల్ పాసిబిలిటీ అడుగుతారు, బట్ ప్రాక్టికల్గా దాన్ని ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు యూ మైట్ హ్యావ్ ఛాలెంజెస్ ఆర్ ఆప్టిమైజ్ కాకపోవచ్చు, రైట్? సో మీరు ఇటువంటి ఆన్సర్స్ షేర్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇండైరెక్ట్గా మీ ఫర్దర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ మీద దీని ఇంపాక్ట్ పాజిటివ్గా పడుతుంది, అండ్ ఓవరాల్ ఇట్ విల్ బి సక్సెస్ స్టోరీ ఫర్ యూ. ఐ మీన్ యాజ్ మచ్ యాజ్ పాసిబుల్ మీరు థియరిటికల్గా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తూనే దాని కరస్పాండింగ్ ప్రాక్టికాలిటీని కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేయండి, ఇఫ్ యూ నో దాట్. I mean, thank you for that. Okay. And, moving ahead, what is the primary difference between a view versus a simple select query?
Okay. So a view is basically an object of SQL where you refer the original table. So it's like a mirror of the original table. And you create view, like if you just want to say, just use certain columns, not the entire, like we have around 200, 300 columns in a table. So first of all, the view helps in selection. Second of all, it helps in optimization of your logic. Because if you directly query the data, the table, it will, the query will run very slow because it goes row by row. So the view helps in, doing that as well. So, and also it runs whenever, it runs on the updated or the, like it runs then and there. So it's not like a stored kind, it doesn't store any table or something. It directly queries the updated original data, whatever it is at that moment of time. So that is the purpose of a view. And yes, it does help in query optimization and, like the column selections.
Right. So can I have different DCL on a view versus the actual table?
Different DCL.
Let's say I grant permissions to user 1, user 2 in an actual table, and then I give permissions to user 3, user 4, different users to the view. Is that possible?
Yes, I think yes, that is possible because to manipulate or to access a view or to even update and change a view, like you need different kind of permissions, right? Because in industry, you cannot allow anyone to manipulate anything. So that can be done, and that is actually the work, how it works in the practical scenario. To keep the data integrity, first of all, right? Because SQL is about data integration and that reducing that redundancy and all of those concepts. So I think that that security and restrictions help.
Correct. Moving on, what are window functions, and probably an example of what a window function is and where it's used.
So window functions are basically like these are functions used to analyze and analyze the data mainly, and to write like complex logics in SQL. So while like I was practicing, like I used window functions a lot because it helps you partition the data in a very logical manner. And then one thing is like just select the top 1, top 2, top 3, that is fine. But apart from that, it actually like helps you put that logic and specify the logic for whatever the conditions that you want to fit in. So that is where window function helped a lot. Ordering, so one of the window function is the ranking, the dense rank, right? So that like is majorly used where you want to just select sort of one or like the top rows in every region, or also like you can, so what you do is you select and you make the specific columns, and then you use the window function over. So it is basically used with some or the other aggregate, right? So if you use sum over, then like sum over, and then you use a like whatever summation logic you have, and then you partition by certain columns. So it's a kind of group by only, like it appears like a group by, but like it gives you a dissected data. So group by gives you an aggregate, but window functions actually helps you look into the data, how that aggregate is formed. So
Right.
like that is where like I used most of the window functions,
Correct.
and it also like helps you sort the data and use it in various logics. So yeah, that. So mostly in industry we want to like have, so say the top 5, the top 10. So top 10 according to specific conditions. So say top 10 according to the region. That can be done in a group by also. But group by
Mm.
will just give you one figure, one line, or top 10 like that. But it helps you partition the data in multiple manners. So
Mm.
in every region, in every city. So you can partition by those two and you'll get the top 10 in every region and every city. So that is how it helps in analyzing the data better.
Correct. Yeah. Awesome. So, you have had an experience of learning and working with Power BI as well, right? So we hear
Yeah.
about normalizations in SQL. We have different type of normalizations.
Mhm.
So how these
Yeah.
normalizations actually help us when we are, creating charts, like the UI part of it in Power BI? Can you share some light on that?
Okay. So normalization is basically, conceptually, it is about simplifying the data. So
Correct.
say existing data might be in a very complex format, in like not in a flattened way. So flattening is a word which we use very often. So for instance, it's a very common example, like in a say a film data set, you have category and we have a category called action, music, and
Mm.
a rom-com, right? But you cannot like have those three things in just one single row. That is now how
Mm.
you can analyze any sort of data. Because if you make a visual, how will you even use those categories, right? You cannot just like, if you want to divide, say, films by genres, action filming, sorry, action, rom-com, horror, right? If they're in a single row, usually it happens that the categories will be in a single row or the data will be in a single row. So you
Mm.
have to flatten it, you have to dissect it. So this is like the first normalization happens like that, that for every row there should be just one value in that column.
Correct.
So you sort of unpivot it, unpivot the data and bring the column, bring like say three columns, three rows for a single row. So
Correct.
for say one movie called in India we have horror comedies. So like, so say is three, you have the horror, the rom-com, and the comedy, three rows. So
Right.
that is how it helps in visualization in a way, like like in the genres you can actually see like how the horror films are performing, how the what are the preferences, how many what are the ratings, all of those things. So
Correct.
that is how the normalization helps. And also it also helps in one more thing. So second normalization form, first is like, one row should have a single value. The
Correct.
second is like there is a unique identification. So the primary key and the foreign key concepts come over there also. So every value is then associated with a different table, right? So
Correct.
say horror, and then horror, you maybe there is a different table called genres and directors.
Mm.
So then you have the directors, kind of directors in that genres, or like you can actually put a lot of things in one ID called horror, and then various maybe uh, specify to that particular genre some other information. So that is how you can analyze user preferences.
Got
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that helps.
Correct. Yeah. So in the answer you were mentioning about pivoting, right? Pivots. What are pivots?
Yeah.
Can you, explain that?
Pivoting is basically, like it helps you summarize your data and analyze your data in a better way.
Mm.
So, for instance, right now we converted the row into columns.
Mm.
So that's sort of like, we are unpivoting the data.
Correct.
So like changing the dimensionality of it. So that is one thing. And then sometimes it is needed, like you have to so in a column, you will have different like this was a one condition where you have rows with different categories. Sometimes you will have it in columns also.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was practicing, I remember this very famous Facebook kind of questions where
Mm.
you have that status, and then status is comment, like, share. So that is going to be in one single column. Now,
Right.
in order to figure out how many people have liked, share, and commented, you have to unpivot it. So
Mm.
you will need to make the column into rows, right?
Correct.
Because that information is in a single column, right? So you need to make it convert it into rows to analyze, okay, how many people have commented, shared, and liked. So like that is how it, that entire pivoting and unpivoting works. Sometimes you have to do the reverse, and sometimes you have to, like, there are always these two places I've mentioned. So
Got
it
it. Yeah.
helps you like analyze, and these are different situations which happen. So one was this Facebook data, then another one, like when you practice, you actually get to know a lot of things. So mail sent, mail received.
Mhm.
So those things like the status of the mail. So that is how, like
Yeah.
that is when it is required.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I have
Yeah.
enough insights for the final decision. Thank you for your time for interviewing with us. Like, finally, do you want to share any challenges that you were facing while learning SQL, or joining a background where you were not traditionally part of, from a
Yeah.
non-tech to tech? Like, were there any challenges and how did you overcome that?
So I think it depends, like it differs from individual to individual. But I like personally, I'm a person, I like to take up challenging tasks only because like that is somewhat helps me, push myself more. So,
Right.
however, like nevertheless, there was a like psychological challenge. I think is was the most, like, will I be able to, use those logical things and learn the language?
Mm.
Also, always you hear Python, SQL, all of these things these are scary for a non-tech background
Yeah.
person. However, like I was from a PCM background, so I PCM and computer science, so I had done that in my 12th. But like to all the people like who like the challenges I faced was again psychological. Then again, it is uh, like how do you keep on that drive alive, because
Mm.
once you're not able to solve, for example, the like I used to refer a lot from HackerRank and data scratch. So I referred a lot of website to practice, and like there were questions which are typically for the developers
Right.
background people, and they're able to solve that very easily. But that was a challenge because you have to push yourself even if you fail. So that was
Correct.
another challenge. However, like to all the people who want to shift the background or something, just ask yourself one thing. This what summary I can derive for myself is, it is not about the languages, right? It is not about SQL, not about Python, not about DAX. I feel it is more about logic and
Mm.
how you can think of that logic to solve a real life problem. So if you are able to get to that logic, you have a logical and problem solving mindset. No matter what the language is, it is just like communicating in English. You have to communicate in a coding language. That's it. The logic
Right.
stays the same, even if it is a SQL, even if it is a Python or a PowerBI platform. This is what my learning has been. So if you say like that is why you actually grow in the industry, because you have to be sure about that, you are good at the logic building. Forget
Right.
about anything else. You have to be good at logic building and problem solving. That is what it takes. Because
Right.
it is not limited to SQL and Python. You will need to learn, for instance, my first within my fourth month, I had to learn Fabric, Microsoft Fabric, PySpark, and all of these things. But again, even there, that same thing helped, that I know the logic building,
Mm-hmm.
and the syntaxes and all of those things. AI tools are there to help you, right?
Right.
But the logic, no one can help you. That is what you think. So I think that will, that logic building should be the core of what you are, and you should polish that thing. However, if you, like I mentioned, AI tools, however, you should not rely on the AI tools in the very beginning, because
Mm.
that is where they just, you will lose all of your logic, because that you will just rely on the tool to think for you.
Yeah.
So initially, I feel practice and a lot of practice. So I think that challenges I was able to solve because of that practice. I refer to
Got
around
it.
4 to 5 websites online, and I used to like not just read and solve. I used to write every single thing. What was I thinking? Why did I go wrong? What should I have done? So this is a UPSC mindset that I had. You analyzing every bit. So you don't
Mm.
just analyze in the industry. You first start analyzing from within. What should you be thinking and how you should have thought. So
Right.
and also revise those things. So that is, I think, where you can overcome your challenges and background and whatever you feel things are paralyzing you. uh, you will be
Got
able
it.
to overcome them with your sheer hard work and
Got it.
confidence.
Got it. So let's end this on a typical, interview style note. Like, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, like see, as a fresher, I have, the basic knowledge of the basic knowledge of the tools. What other, trending tools are there which I should be prepared, or which are specific to your company, that I
Right.
should at least know the basics of?
Right.
So like that, I would like to know.
Right. So basically, the exact framework that you will be using will be dependent upon the team that you are chosen for. And on an overall basis, if you ask me, it's really important these days that you are well equipped with the skill, and at the same time, you are aware of different tools in AI that will be helpful for you. Because in the coming days,
Okay.
things would be like, there'll definitely be even human intervention because people cannot just trust AI. There'll be human intervention, but along with human intervention, there'll be a constant support of AI tools taken in every part of, in every industry, not at IT. So I would prefer that, keep your basics strong and start exploring different AI tools in your domain. And frameworks, like
Yeah.
what I feel is like if the basics are strong, whether it's like, let's say you are strong with your DSA skills for a development role, and let's say you get into a Java full stack role in your team, learning, Java full stack is pretty easy if you have your basics strong. If you have your CS fundamentally strong, DBMS, operating system, COCA, and then our networking, right? If you have these fundamentals strong and are equipped with the basic skills, you should be good to go.
So like just specific to this interview, like what are the like how was I performing, and what are the hoops and challenges that I should work on
Yeah.
for the upcoming?
Yes. So first of all, like the flow went really well. I really appreciate your perspective on how you share, both theoretical aspect to it and the practical application to it. So the place where I asked you about, can you use multiple referencing with multiple foreign keys of cities and, countries? Theoretically, it would say yes, but even if you said yes, it would have been a like good answer. But you mentioning the practicality of, cities being a part of country actually brings out a different flavor to the whole interview, and that takes the interview forward in a positive note. And overall, like it was a great experience interviewing you.
Same.
థ్యాంక్ యూ. సో ఇదండి ఇలా ఉంటుంది. సో మీకు యూజువల్గా స్టార్టింగ్లో ఇట్ విల్ బి టెల్ మీ అబౌట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ క్వశ్చన్. ఆ తర్వాత బేసిక్స్ నుంచి తీసుకెళ్తూ కొంచెం లో లెవెల్ క్వశ్చన్స్ నుంచి కొంచెం డిఫరెంట్ వెళ్తారు. ఫైనల్ దిల్ బి క్వశ్చన్స్ అబౌట్ ఛాలెంజెస్ దట్ యూ ఫేస్డ్. ఆ తర్వాత విల్ హ్యావ్ క్వశ్చన్ అబౌట్ మీకైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ నేను అడుగుతారు. ఆ టైంలో మీకు క్వశ్చన్స్ లేకపోయినా ముందు ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారండి. ఆస్క్ సమ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ దట్ విల్ గివ్ పాజిటివ్ నోట్ అబౌట్ ది ఓవరాల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. లైక్ షాలు అడిగినట్టుగా ఇఫ్ యూ ప్రాబ్లీ ఆస్క్ అబౌట్ ద ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ దట్ దే హ్యాడ్ విత్ యూ, ఇట్ విల్ ఆల్సో బి అ గ్రేట్ వన్. సో ఓవరాల్ గా మీకు ఈ మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ బాగా హెల్ప్ అయింది అనుకుంటున్నాను. అగైన్ వన్స్ అగైన్ థ్యాంక్ యూ షాలు గారు ఫర్ బీయింగ్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. అండ్ యా, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. జై హింద్, జై భారత్.